So good morning, Rotary District 7770, and welcome to Conversations with Rotary Action People for Monday, August 30th. Can you guys believe it is almost the end of August and September will be here in just a couple days? I tell you, the year is flying by. My name is Donald Hovis, and I am your CWRAP host, and I'm from the Coroner Rotary Club in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Today, we're in for a real treat here. I've heard a lot about this person. I'm excited for her to share her story with you guys. Coming to us from Richland County, Naida Rutherford. She is the Richland County Coroner. I'll read your bio in a second after a few announcements, and then you may begin speaking after that. But Mary, thank you so much for setting up this speaker and all of our wonderful speakers. I will say, as I say every week, if you have a speaker that has spoken to your Rotary Club, please get in touch with Mary, or you have a potential person that would like to speak to us on CWRAP. We are booking speakers now for October. And yes, some of you have already gone to the chat box, but you don't know what I'm going to ask you. So you're going to have to go to the chat box again. So, Mary, I think you need to go back to the beach because today is National Beach Day. Did you know that, right? You should be back in the beach, Mary. I'm in Myrtle Beach. I'm on the beach, but it looks like I'm at the house, but I'm actually on the beach. So, National Beach Day. So you have to say in the chat box your name, your Rotary Club, and where's your favorite beach. It better be Myrtle Beach or some beach associated. Well, sorry, Hilton Head. Myrtle Beach is the fastest growing place in the country. So, hey, got a lot of positive going up here in the Horry County area. So here is Nadia's bio. Naida Rutherford is the Richland County Coroner. Prior to being elected as coroner in 2020, she was a nurse practitioner and entrepreneur. Naida has lived in Columbia since she came here as a homeless teen. She has worked multiple jobs to put herself through school and eventually became a nurse practitioner. Her early career was spent in the emergency department at Lexington County Hospital. She worked tirelessly to help patients and families deal with trauma and sudden death. Her coworkers and supervisors often called on her to calm grieving families. In addition to being able to provide a calming presence to grieving families, Naida also helped to collect rape kits on victims of sexual assault. Her attention to detail and methodical collection of data was key to helping to ensure a proper chain of custody for these victims. Naida is and continues to be a servant to her community. Let's give a warm welcome. Welcome to CWRAP, Naida. We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Go BC.
Yes, go BC. So I've had the pleasure of having my bio read, and I'll just jump right in to what I have to say to you today. I hope that you take a moment to allow yourself to be present exactly where you are. I'd like you to put your phones down, and I'd like you to just pay attention to the sound of my voice. Here is my story in a few words. Ward of the state, foster care, homelessness, poverty, 4-time college graduate, nurse practitioner, entrepreneur, community advocate, and history maker. I could stop there. By most people's standards, I have done well for myself. But my success is in the details of my life, not in the titles or the accolades, not in the big things that are visible or tangible. But when you see me, yes, I do look successful. I take pride in my appearance. I speak and walk with confidence. I am presenting my best self always. I belong here. We already know where the story is currently of my life. So let's dial back and start with some of the details that got me to where I am today. And while I know that most of you may not have a similar story, I want you to focus on the larger themes of perseverance, resiliency, growth, and believing in the power of you. When I was 5 years old, I lived in a home with about 7 other children. some older, some younger. And one of those older children really liked to harass and bully the younger kids. He was constantly doing inappropriate things. He was definitely what most people would call a problem child. One night, while I was playing with some of my other housemates, he came inside of our bedroom and locked the door. I was only 5 years old, but I knew that this was bad. He told the other 3 children to get up on the top bunk and to be quiet or he would hurt them. I never really liked him because he was always staring at me. That night, he held a knife to my throat and attempted to rape me over and over and over and over. What he did that night seemed to set in motion a cycle of abuse that would continue well into my teen years. No one saved me. No one sought medical attention when I was hurt. No one asked how I was doing. No one thought to get help for the emotional or physical hurt that I had experienced and continued to experience. I dealt with very adult things at a very young age. I learned very early that you had to stand up for yourself, but I didn't quite know how. And so I smiled and put on a brave face. I cried when no one was watching. On the outside, I was an athlete and I was popular and I was pretty. But on the inside, I felt broken, ugly, damaged, and unworthy of anything good. Because surely it had been my fault that I was treated this way for so long. I didn't tell. I was silent, and I made sure to lie anytime I had a bruise or anything that looked like abuse. And then I graduated high school. Somehow I graduated. With D's and F's, I somehow made it through. I graduated on a Tuesday. No one showed up for me. On Thursday of the same week, I was homeless. I was 18. I had graduated high school. I was no longer a minor. And the house mother told me that I had to leave. And I've never seen her again. She had done her job as the operator of the group home. She had got me through high school. I was 18 years old, and she no longer received a check from me. That night around 10 p.m., I walked to my best friend's house with a black trash bag and the clothes that I had on my back. And I couch hopped until a friend came to South Carolina to audition for the track team for some of the colleges here. A coach at Benedict College took an interest in me because her mother had told him that I was a good kid and a great runner. I had gone to state. I was the captain of the team, MVP. And I auditioned for the coach that day and beat everyone on the team. And he looked at me and said, "Would you like to go to college?" And I said, "Sir, thank you for allowing me to run with your team. But people like me don't go to college. I'm poor. I don't have any family. I don't have any money. And I don't really have good grades." The coach asked me again, did I want to go to college? And he said, all I had to do was run like I ran that day and study. And so that's what I did. I focused on being the best student that I could be. I didn't party or stay out late. I studied. I worked jobs in between my classes to buy basic necessities. And when I didn't have what I needed, friends helped me out. I learned very early that kindness got you further in life than defiance. Professors would let me babysit their children or clean their homes to earn extra cash. I walked or rode the bus to get around. I never made excuses. On the days when I felt overwhelmed, I thought about where I had come from. I was safe now. I had a bed and I didn't have to worry about someone standing over me. I didn't have to eat off the floor like a dog. I could wash my clothes and put on something different if I wanted to. I never, ever made excuses. I cried a lot during college, but I never stopped working. I worried so much at one point that I even contemplated suicide. I didn't know if I could actually make it through. But I knew that if I failed, I would be homeless again. I knew if I got in trouble, no one was going to bail me out. I knew that if I didn't work, I wouldn't eat. I graduated magna cum laude with a degree in biology. And you would think that I would feel great about that accomplishment. And again, no one showed up for me. I had very little money. I had nowhere to live. And I felt like all my hard work had been for nothing. I truly felt defeated at that moment in my life when I should have been celebrating with all of my peers. What was I going to do next? Every company I interviewed for said I was inexperienced. Every no seemed to be some sort of a validation stamp that people like me will never be more than where they come from. During my last round of interviews, the interviewer asked me, what did I want to be when I grew up? And I was offended. I was taken aback. I was insulted, honestly. This man had no idea what it took for me to get to where I was sitting that day. I couldn't even form words to answer him. I didn't know if he was being serious or if he was just being mean. Noticing that I was unprepared to answer him, he broke the tension by saying, "You should go to nursing school. Someone like you with your brain would be an excellent nurse." He thanked me for my time, and I walked out, confused and honestly feeling a bit worthless. I couldn't speak. I was speechless. I just thought about those words over and over and over again. You should go to nursing school. I had done everything I could do to try to go to medical school, and I didn't do well. So why or how would I be able to be a nurse? After a few months, I called around. I started applying to some technical schools because I truly didn't know what else to do. And I certainly didn't know how I was going to pay for it all. I lived in a crappy, dangerous apartment where guys dealt drugs right outside my door, and I was often afraid to go home. But I began going to nursing school, and that changed the trajectory of my life. I started realizing that my passion was helping people in crisis, that for whatever reason, I could be a calm in a storm. I worked in the ER and trauma area of Lexington Hospital, and I was often called the bee charmer by my coworkers and my managers. I could quiet the most irate, grief-stricken individuals. I had done that my whole life. I had learned how to maneuver during chaos. And people paid me to do it now. I sought higher degrees in nursing. I worked 12 to 18-hour days. I was addicted at that point to being my best self. I refused to get married, even though I was asked many times, until I could financially provide for myself. I wanted to be able to be independent. And I did just that. While I was in my first nursing program, I met a deputy coroner. Again, it changed the trajectory of my life. She was definitely not a fan of mine. She thought I was too prissy. I dressed up every single day. And she said, no one is ever going to take you seriously. But what most people eventually learn about me is that you'll never outwork me. And although she and I weren't really friends, she answered all my questions, and I became fixated on a new goal. The law changed, and it made it possible and eligible for me to run for coroner. I set my sights on 2020. I worked every kind of role that I thought would prepare me to be a coroner. I certainly didn't know any coroners. I didn't really know if I would be able to run for public office, but I was certainly willing to give it a try. Within nursing, I specialized in the grossest of the grossest because I figured if you can handle seeing the things that I saw, then certainly I could handle being the coroner. So I specialized in wounds and ostomies. I did legal nurse consulting and investigation. I worked in corrections and community clinics with sex workers and the homeless. And I knew that I would have a hard time running. I knew that people would not believe in me. I knew that not many people would show up. Most people would not think I was capable or qualified, because in between nursing and nursing school and the 4 degrees that I received and becoming a mommy, people knew me for other reasons. They knew me socially. And although I have 15 years in healthcare, I've won numerous awards, promotions, I've educated myself, but no one really knew the healthcare side of me, because when they saw me, I was all glammed up or taking pictures for Instagram, promoting my thrift boutique located on Lady Street. They knew me for fashion shows and for being a thrift fashionista. They knew me for Styled by Naida, which is currently the Now and Then store. They knew me as being the co-owner of a restaurant and an entrepreneur and community advocate. And people had really put me into this box where intelligence and qualification was certainly not included. But what they don't know is that I've been overcoming people's assumptions about me my entire life. And so I ran my race. I begged for money. I debated, all while working on the front lines of COVID-19. I campaigned using my already established social media audience, and I asked for support on digital platforms and from previous patients that I'd helped, from community members who I had shown up for. So when people say that I'm lucky, or it's because my ex-husband's name, or that it's just because I'm Black, I look at them and I say, no, I worked to get here. I survived to get here. I sacrificed and had major discipline to get here. I aligned my passion and purpose and my prayer life to get here. This wasn't luck or favor. I made history as the first woman, first person of color, and the first medical professional to ever be elected to this office in the 173 years since it was established. For every single child or adult that struggled or is struggling, no matter what your struggle is, right now, today, in this moment, as you're hearing the sound of my voice, you have survived 100% of your worst days. Life may not be easy, but it is definitely doable if you're willing to work. You belong here. My name is Naida Rutherford, and I belong here. Thank you guys so much for having me come and speak to you today.
Outstanding. Yeah, I think we should definitely round of applause. Great. Does anyone have any questions? Maybe you want to ask? Got a couple minutes for some questions.
I did want to make a comment. Naida, what you didn't say is when you ran your race, you ran against somebody who had been in that office for quite a while and was considered a major upset. So you ran a fair race, you ran a good race, and congratulations to you. Awesome job.
Thank you so much. It was a very difficult race. It's very interesting. I come from a very small town. And seriously, the KKK used to march on Saturdays, and I thought that was normal. That's how small of a town this is. And I'm actually here in my small town now in Florida. I'm visiting my best friend's mom. It's her birthday tomorrow, so I'm here to surprise her for her birthday. And you don't know what the world is like until you visit it, right? And during my race, I'll say this, growing up in the town that I grew up in, I experienced more racism and more hatred than I ever have in my entire life outside of how I grew up. And you're right, I beat someone who was an incumbent for 20 years and has won every award in the coroner world, is still considered to be, an outstanding coroner. And so it's a huge shadow over the campaign. and that I still am dealing with. It's an interesting place to be in, but that's a story for another day. But thank you so much for that acknowledgement, because it truly was a hard race. It was not easy.
It was. He's a good guy, but you ran a good race and you beat him. You won.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that.
I appreciate that.
Naida, what do you enjoy most about being a coroner?
The families, being able to sit down with them. I do this for any family that would like to, and I will go through that autopsy and the toxicology report line by line by line. And most of the time I can show these families, based on science and the autopsy report, that their loved one didn't suffer or that there was minimal suffering. But I can explain it to them. I can meet them where they are, no matter what their educational level is, so that they have closure and understanding of what happened to the decedent. And it's very important to me to be able to do that. But it is the greatest reward that I have, is that I can help people who would maybe normally not understand or even be willing to ask questions, because it can be intimidating speaking to someone who's a healthcare provider or an elected official. I sit down with them side by side and say, let's walk through it together. And I don't use big words or try to use medical jargon that they don't understand. I talk to them and I tease it out until they understand it. And when they walk out of the office, every single time, my goal is for them to say, thank you for helping me understand. So that's the part that I enjoy the most, helping the families understand exactly what happened.
So you enjoy your job?
I do enjoy my job immensely.
Good.
So what's next for you? After coroner, what's next?
Well, we got to get me reelected.
Okay.
I said this recently in a speech that I did to a group home for young girls who are wards of the state. They asked me the same question, like, what's next? What are you going to do? My goal is to create within Richland County the epicenter for coroner education for the Southeast. And it's a big goal. It's a multi-million-dollar goal, but I believe that I can do it. I think that this is an untapped market in a way. As a businesswoman, I can look at it and say, I think there are things that we can improve. I think there are coroners who don't have as many resources available to them that could benefit from there being a state-of-the-art facility within our state. And so that's my goal. But I can't do any of those things if I don't get reelected. So every single day, what's next for me is to earn the votes that put me into office, and to earn them every single day. I don't take it for granted at all that I was voted into office after, someone who had been there for 20 years and who did a fantastic job. So I have to work to earn those votes. And so let's get me reelected. That's next, and earn those votes, but then start moving our vision towards the greater goal, which is to create an epicenter for coroner education here in our own state.
What is the term of office, Naida? Is it 2 years, 4 years?
It's 4 years.
Okay. And how long have you been in office now?
I took office January 5th of this year. I won the election in 2020, and then I went unopposed in November. But you don't take office until the first Tuesday of the January after the election. I think that's how it's written in the law. It's kind of confusing because there really hasn't been a transition into this office since like 1953, because the previous coroner worked for the previous coroner. And so there's really been no transition since 1953. So people really didn't know what to do. They were like, we don't know when you start. So we had to go look at the statute and like really piece things together. And so I started on January 5th.
She's absolutely correct, because Frank Barron was a coroner before, and he had been coroner forever. And then Gary Watts came in and was, like, as you said, 20 years. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
So when is your term up?
2024, but really whenever the voters decide. So 2024 is when I will run again for re-election, and hopefully we have that. But I would like to retire doing this. My passion is to help our community, and I love all the gross things. I know it's probably weird to hear that. It's not cool that people die, but it's pretty cool to see how the body breaks down and the science behind it. I'm definitely a nerd in that way. And so I just hope to keep expanding my education, but also be able to provide high quality education and access to that education for coroners across our state, because so many of them just don't have the resources. So that's the goal. But 2024 is when I'll run again.
Any further questions, anyone?
Well, Nada, my family owns a funeral home. I went to embalming school, so I think what you're doing is really cool. I've witnessed some autopsies, and they're very, very revealing. People come out with the reports and hear things, but seeing a good autopsy just gets me excited.
Yeah.
We shouldn't say that.
It's cool to be able to explain to a family, or even be able to show them a photograph. You know, when we put hypertensive cardiovascular disease, to be able to take a photograph of what an arteriosclerotic vessel looks like, to be able to show them what a pulmonary embolism looks like in their loved one's lung, to be able to show how that process works, it makes it more real. And, you know, our goal is to not be graphic with those families, but to be able to show them, and hopefully be able to take the education that we do there in the autopsy suite and take it out into the community. We have a very large percentage of African-American members in our community. And we know that diabetes and hypertension are two of the leading causes of death for our county. So not only are we, you know, providing that post-mortem care and support, but we can also take the things that we learn from that to be able to create PSAs around health initiatives that hopefully prevent death in our community. We have, I think, one of the largest offices in the state, and we certainly investigate more deaths than anyone else, it seems. I mean, we have a great amount of resources, which is awesome. But like yesterday, we had, I think, like 21 scene responses. I mean, it was crazy. And so for anyone that comes from that world, or even from the world of funeral homes and providing those types of services, you know, that's a lot, because it takes a lot to be able to send your deputies out and have them working so hard. It's very taxing on them. So if you guys know anyone in the Richland County area who'd like to be a deputy coroner, please have them apply at richlandcounty.gov because we are certainly looking for some part-time deputy coroners to be able to give our team a break.
Well, Lou was going to apply, but he's too old now. He just had a birthday.
Yeah, I'm 106.
Man, you look great.
What are the requirements to be a coroner?
Well, if you look up what South Carolina says, you can really just do about anything and be a coroner. There are some kind of guidelines in terms of law enforcement, or being a nurse, for example, like having a BSN in nursing automatically qualifies you. But really, if you look at the history, and I did this during my campaign, all I did was put my qualification next to the history of the coroner's office, and it was very compelling to voters. But we've had a photographer, we've had a tax assessor, a bailiff for the court, a former football player. They were all coroners. They had no medical training. They weren't even like funeral home directors, you know, which you would, you know, think that would obviously be a nice transition into that, or even with law enforcement for the investigative portion of that. But there had never been a medical professional. There had never been a woman or a person of color. But the interesting thing is that they came from such a varied background. So while the minimal educational requirement is a high school diploma, and they would like you to have, you know, these certain things, there really is no rule. You could literally do anything and then become the coroner. They're trying to standardize a little bit more.
I have to add this right now, that Ken's grandfather, who lived to be 98, and he's been dead maybe 20 years, so I'm talking about a long time ago, was the coroner of Dillon County for 30 or 35 years, and he was blind. He was known as the blind coroner. This is a true story. Absolutely, yes, he was. He was a coroner of Dillon County. He was blind. But yeah, so the requirements were a lot less then than they are now, even
Yeah.
though they're not a lot now. And I understand he did a good job at it. I don't know how, but there you go.
Well, asking the right questions is always important. And I guess he had someone else looking at the crime scenes for him. That's interesting.
I don't know.
Excellent, Naida. Thank you again for coming with us, and hopefully you enjoy your time in Florida. And we do appreciate you sharing your story with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so humbled and grateful that you would even ask. And I hope that I was able to give you guys a little bit of motivation and inspiration for the rest of your week. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And have a great time down there. Okay.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right. At this time, I'm going to ask District Governor Paul, please come off of mute, sir. I think we want to start announcing what's happening. Paul?
What's happening on March 11th through the 13th?
There you go. It's going to be an every Monday occurrence going forward. There you go.
Well, great. We're going to have an all-club conference on March 11th through the 13th in sunny Hilton Head at the Sonesta Resort. Registration for the hotels can happen now. Registration for the conference will be up soon. So hopefully everybody will come for the family reunion. That'll be on March 11th through the 13th in sunny Hilton Head. Look forward to having you.
Thank you, District Governor Paul. Our next speaker, reminder, guys, next Monday is Labor Day, so no CWRAP next week. So you get a break, enjoy Labor Day, and hopefully you're not laboring on Labor Day. Okay, here we go. The 13th is the next speaker up, will be Ambassador Ed McMullen, who is the ambassador to Switzerland under President Trump. And now, Mary, that's the last one I show, so you'll need to send me an updated list here soon. But that'll be coming up in 2 weeks.
I can add that Lou Mello is going to be on September 27th, and he's going to talk to us about cruising, all things cruising.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Booyah.
Have your questions ready, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. And
Awesome.
I've got several others that are in the pipeline and hope to book them later on today. So, yeah.
Excellent. And happy birthday, past District Governor Lou Mello.
Thank you.
Thanks for spending your birthday with us. Any further announcements before we do the four-way test? Anyone? Oh, I do. I actually do have one announcement. And you'll be receiving emails. So if you're a current president of a club, great. You want to listen to this. If you're a current public image chair of a club, even better. So I received a call last week from District Governor-elect Bob Gross. And the call is out for photos. Now, we want people in action photos. Sorry, guys, no check presentation photos. As District Governor-elect, Bob will be having his installation dinner in June of next year. There will be a rolling slideshow of pictures from around the district on these screens. So the call is out for photos. You'll be getting an email from me. Please send the photos every time you have a service project, or if you're out walking with Bernie, doing things out in the community. We want to see those pictures. And wouldn't it be great to be sitting at the installation dinner and see your picture come up on the screen? Everyone likes that, right? So you'll be getting some emails from me, but the call is out for photos, and it'll happen for the whole entire year. So great. Want to get those photos. Send them on over. You'll get an email from me with how to send them as well. So if you're saying to yourself, okay, where do I send them? You'll get an email from me. All right. So we'll wind down Monday's CWRAP with the Rotary four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? We will see you back on Monday, September 13th for the next conversation with Rotary Action People. Take care, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.